thought maybe you could love me like you used to. Even though I'm different.
This show changed my life, and it might have done the same for you, or it might do the same for you. Some stories forever change the way you see the world. Some characters feel so real that their pain becomes yours, and Arcane is one of those stories. I honestly don't even know where to start with such a masterpiece. From the breathtaking choreography to the deeply human characters, this series feels surreal. If I could experience it for the first time again, I would. The production team did such an incredible job crafting these characters that you don't even need to play League of Legends to understand them. They exist beyond the game, they live and breathe on their own. But Arcane didn't just tell a great story. It made storytelling feel possible. I'm currently writing a novel called Ishikura: A Timeless Legacy, and for the longest time, I wanted to create something with real substance. Something that resonated deeper than the usual stories we see in media. Arcane showed me what that would look like. Its characters feel more real than anything I could ever imagine. Their hearts beat like mine, their sacrifices and losses matter, and even when they make bad decisions, they make sense. It all fits. When the series ended, I just sat in my room staring at a blank screen for what felt like hours. I was starstruck. If there's one thing Arcane does better than most series, it's making every moment feel earned. The first season was an emotional roller coaster. Every time you thought things couldn't get worse, they did. These characters wanted to make a difference, no matter how small. They wanted to change lives for the better. Yet, time and time again, they failed. And that's what makes Arcane so painfully real. Sometimes when you try to help, you only make things worse. Life is sporadic, unfair, and cruel. Arcane doesn't shy away from that. It embraces it. But here's what makes it special. It never feels hopeless. The level of detail, the creator's love for the craft, it's evident in every frame, every scene, every decision. Arcane never just tells you a story. It tells you a world where every action has weight and every moment feels like it could change everything. At every turn, this show impressed me, and for that, I truly admire it. First things first, this was one hell of a video to work on. Not only because Arcane can be looked at from so many different angles, but because every theme I focused on expanded into several other talking points and would diverge from the original topic. Therefore, I will divide this video into 3 major talking points. FYI, most of the information within these points are from Arcane writers themselves, Alex Yee, Kristen Link, and Amanda Overton, from interviews, Reddit posts, and behind the scenes. I won't be discussing every point they've made, but I will discuss some of the ones that stood out to me. Anyways, point number 1, how Arcane masters plot and tension. There's something different about Arcane. It doesn't just tell a good story, it grips you. Every scene, every moment, every choice feels like it's leading towards something bigger. And that's because Arcane doesn't just follow a plot, it builds tension in a way that keeps you hooked from start to finish. But how does it do it? Well, Arcane follows a set of storytelling techniques that makes its narrative feel both unpredictable and inevitable, a balance that's incredibly hard to pull off. Today we're going to break it down. Most shows have predictable pacing. There's a setup, an enticing incident, a rising action, a climax, and resolution. Simple, right? But Arcane takes that formula and layers tension on top of it constantly. Instead of just moving the plot forward, Arcane builds tension in multiple directions at once. Take the first act for example. Powder wants to prove herself, Vi wants to protect her, Silco is scheming in the shadows, and Vanda is trying to keep Zaun at peace. All these conflicts are happening at the same time, and the more they clash, the higher the stakes get. Every Arcane episode feels like a ticking time bomb. It's not a question if things will explode, it's when. And when they do, it feels earned. That's because the show follows a few key rules. Rule number 1, balancing complexity without overload. In most stories, having too many moving parts can make the plot feel bloated, but Arcane keeps things clear by focusing on the cause and effect. Every action has a consequence. For example, in season 3, Vi's decision to leave Powder behind isn't just a dramatic moment, it's the catalyst for everything that follows. Powder's heartbreak doesn't just turn her into Jinx, it also strengthens Silco's hold over her, deepens Vi's guilt, and fuels the entire emotional weight of their rivalry. Nothing happens just for the sake of drama. Every plot point ripples into the next, making the world feel alive and interconnected. Most stories separate character-driven and plot-driven narratives, but Arcane blends them. Instead of just forcing the characters along the story, it ensures that every major moment happens because of a character's choice. Think about it. If I had stayed with Powder, would Jinx exist? If Jayce had listened to Heimerdinger, would Piltover had changed? If Vander had killed Silco when he had the chance, would Zaun still be at war? Each of these moments had to happen, not because the writers forced them, but because they were inevitable consequences of the actions made before. Rule number 2. How Arcane uses separation to build tension. One of Arcane's greatest strengths is how it isolates characters, both physically and emotionally. Characters who start together are ripped apart, and we feel the weight of their separation. Look at Vi and Powder. They don't just split up once. The show keeps them apart, twisting the knife deeper every time they almost reunite. The longer they're apart, the more we need them to see each other again. That tension keeps us engaged, making us wonder how and when it will finally happen. And when do they meet again? It's not the reunion we hoped for. It's tragic. Powder is gone, Jinx has taken her place, and Vi's worst fears has come true. She wasn't there to protect her. This kind of tension, where we want something to happen but dread what it will look like when it does, is what makes Arcane so powerful. Every great story has tension, but Arcane makes it personal. And this rule is my favorite: impossible decisions. Arcane forces characters into no-win situations. Most stories have clear heroes and villains, but Arcane blurs that line. It constantly forces characters into impossible choices where no option is truly right. No matter what they do, someone suffers, and that's what makes the tension so brutal. By the time we reach the finale, we know there's no happy ending. We feel it. The show has trained us to expect heartbreak, and when it finally happens, when Jinx makes her final decision, it hurts. Because deep down, we knew this was the only way it could end. So what's the takeaway here? It's not that Arcane tells a good story, it's how it tells it. That's what makes Arcane feel so different. It's what makes it feel real. And honestly, that's why I think it's one of the best written shows of all time. On to my second point: how Arcane's characters breathe life into story. Some shows have great plots, others have great characters. But Arcane, it has both. It doesn't just tell a compelling story, it makes you feel every moment through its characters. Their struggles, their emotions, their choices. They don't just push the plot forward, they make the world feel alive. No one is static. Many shows will tell you a character has changed. Arcane shows it gradually. Instead of flipping a switch and suddenly making Powder become Jinx or Jayce become a leader, the show builds their transformation over time, making every change feel earned. For example, think about Powder at the start. She's a scared but hopeful kid, desperate to prove herself. But then episode 3 happens. She loses everything: her family, her home, her sister, and she learns in the worst way possible that her actions have consequences. Her transformation into Jinx isn't instantaneous. The show lets it breathe, showing us her trauma, her hallucinations, her constant battle between the person she was and the person she's becoming. By the time she fully embraces Jinx, it feels inevitable. Not because the plot demanded it, but because every single moment led her here. And this isn't just true for her. Vi, Jayce, Silco, Victor, they all changed in ways that feel real because their arcs are built on cause and effect, not just convenience. Moving on, flaws drive the story. Great characters aren't just strong or smart, they're flawed. They make mistakes. They let emotions cloud their judgment. They try to do the right thing and end up making everything worse. And Arcane doesn't hold back. For example, Vi is headstrong. She acts before she thinks. She wants to protect Powder, but in the heat of the moment, she makes a split-second decision that changes everything. She leaves her. It's not that she doesn't love her, it's that for a brief moment, her anger and grief overrided her instincts, and that single mistake shapes Jinx's entire future. On the other side, Jinx's greatest flaw is her need for validation. She desperately wants to be accepted, for Vi to see her as strong, for Silco to trust her, for the world to stop treating her like a screw-up. These aren't just surface-level flaws. They shape everything about how these characters interact with the world, and that's why they feel real. Most stories focus on individual character arcs, but Arcane goes further, making sure that character relationships are just as important as their solo journeys. Because at the end of this show, it's not about who these characters are, it's how they affect each other. Vi and Caitlyn come from opposite worlds. One's from the streets, the other one's a Piltover elite. They shouldn't trust each other, but as they're forced to rely on one another, their walls start to break down. Caitlyn proves she's not just some privileged enforcer, she actually cares, while Vi proves she's more than just a brute. She holds loyalty and depth to herself. And what makes their bond so compelling is that it's earned. There's no instant friendship, no forced romance. It builds slowly through shared experiences and mutual understanding. Another example could be Silco and Jinx. Silco is Arcane's villain, right? He's manipulative, ruthless, power hungry. But here's the thing. He's the only person ever to fully accept Jinx for who she is. Their relationship is toxic. It's built on control and obsession, but it's genuine. Silco truly loves Jinx just as she truly loves him. These relationships matter because they change the characters involved. They aren't just there to serve the plot, they are the plot. It's not just that Arcane has good characters, it's how they're written. They evolve naturally. Their growth feels like a result of the story, not something forced onto it. They're flawed. Their mistakes drive the narrative, making every moment feel earned, and their relationships shape them. They don't just exist in isolation, they're constantly influencing each other in ways that feel real. Here's my final point. Arcane and its take on moral ambiguity. Heroes and villains, right and wrong, good versus evil. Most stories stick to these simple labels, but Arcane, it throws them right out of the window. In this world, no one is completely good and no one is purely evil. Everyone is just human. They have justifications for their actions. They make hard choices, and sometimes the right decision, it just doesn't exist. But how does Arcane create such a morally complex world? Everyone believes they're right. In most stories, the bad guys know they're the bad guys. But in Arcane, every character genuinely believes they're doing what's best. They all have logic behind their choices, even when those choices lead to destruction. At the start, Jayce is an optimist. He believes Hextech can save the world. By the end, he's approving military strikes on the Undercity. He doesn't want to, but the pressure, politics, and reality of leadership all forces his hand. He starts making the same choices that people like Silco have always condemned Piltover for. And the scariest part, he still thinks he's doing the right thing. Because in Arcane, good intentions don't guarantee good results.
Are we still sisters?
Nothing is ever going to change that.
One of Arcane's greatest strengths is that it never gives its character an easy way out.
I always knew it.
Every character comes with a cost, and sometimes no matter what they do, people will get hurt. Jinx, the person she's been trying to save this whole time, is sitting across from her with a gun. Caitlyn, her new ally, is on the other side, terrified and powerless. Jinx wants Vi to prove her loyalty, to prove she still sees her as family, to prove that she will protect her like she always has. But here's the problem. If Vi chooses Jinx, she's turning her back on everything Caitlyn represents. Peace, justice, stability. If she chooses Caitlyn, she's confirming Jinx's worst fear. Vi abandoned her. No matter what she does, she loses something. And the best part, the show doesn't even let Vi make the choice. Jinx makes it for her. That's what makes Arcane different. It doesn't just show moral dilemmas, it makes characters suffer through them. A great show doesn't just challenge its characters, it challenges us. And Arcane does that by making us sympathize with the people we're supposed to hate. Silco is a murderer, a manipulator, a man willing to do anything for power. Then we see him with Jinx. We see the way he raises her, how he genuinely cares for her, how he never treats her like she's broken, even when she believes she is. So when Piltover offers him peace if he gives up Jinx, he refuses. It's not just shocking, it's heartbreaking, because in that moment, he's not just the villain anymore. He's a father choosing his daughter over his cause. Then Jinx kills him. It's tragic, but not because a villain died. It's tragic because we never saw why he was the way he was, at least in season 1 at the time. It doesn't just make us root for the heroes, it makes us understand the villains. It's way more unsettling than any clear-cut good versus evil story. Arcane refuses easy answers. No one thinks they're the villain. Everyone believes they're doing what's best. There are no clean victories, only sacrifices. And we're forced to sympathize with bad people because in Arcane, morality isn't black and white. It's a messy shade of gray. And that's what makes this story stick with us, because deep down, it asks us a question. If you were in their position, what would you do? Arcane is like a color soup. Each character starts as their own distinct shade, but as their struggles pile up and their choices weigh on them, the colors mix. They don't just change on a whim. They shift, blend, and darken with every hardship, every mistake, and every impossible decision. And the more ingredients life throws in, the harder it is to separate who they were from who they've become. It's messy, unpredictable, and sometimes heartbreaking. And that's what makes Arcane unforgettable. I also, though it was a weird analogy at first, I like the color soup idea because it kind of makes you think like, since everyone's their own shade, their own color, when you merge their experiences, it kind of blends who they are, no matter how big the change was. I find it poetic. Anyways, Though this is about how Arcane is almost perfect, I didn't really get into how much of the almost aspect of things, which I would like to do when I talk about season 2 in another video. But my name is Days or Days Away, and I was your host. I always will be. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed, and don't forget to like and follow. I hope I see more of you guys. I love to read you guys' comments, so please do if you have anything to say about anything in this video. I would love to hear it. And yeah, have a great night and a wonderful day.